I on? I think I'm on. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see everyone. Good morning, Della. Nice to see you. I feel inadequate when Pastor Joy is not here. I do not have the passion she does for the announcements, but I'm going to do my best with them anyway. First and foremost, thank you, Doreen, especially for 23. I want to give a special personal thanks. Good friend Will Diaz over at Seatown Markets over off of 6th and Greenwich. We didn't have turkeys last Sunday. Every year, for those who don't know, when we give out the turkey baskets every year, the over at Glad Tidings provide us with the bags that have all of the sides, but the turkey also came from Glad Tidings. And most of you have heard, with everything going on this year, it's a little tough getting turkeys. And we didn't have any last weekend. I think Joy and Julie were a little bit panicked. Julie doesn't really panic though, so it's the level of panic that Julie gets. And one call over to Will at Seatown, and he came through for us. And we had turkeys yesterday because of them and his generosity and his willingness to help us out. So a huge thank you. If you are over there shopping, please thank them. And make sure that we take care of them as they took care of us in our community. It was an amazing day yesterday to see folks coming up, many of whom had no idea what was going on. They just happened to drive by, to stop by. And we started the morning, and Pastor said, I am believing that we will touch people with these meals, but I'm also believing you might have to move that truck, because we may not get enough people on this street corner. We might have to go somewhere else. And we were like 20 minutes in, and he was down here and thinking, do we need to move? Do we need to move? And Julie's like, no, we're going to run out. We're not going to have enough by 1 o'clock. And it was amazing to see the blessings that we could give out. Thankful and grateful that Doreen didn't get hit by any cars. Come on, Doreen. Somebody's got to do it. So Doreen tried her best to get run over by a car. She was trying her best to be a hood ornament. She was trying hard. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that those drivers did not hit each other and did not hit Doreen. But it was an amazing day. This is my second time. We didn't get to do this last year. The last time we gave out turkey baskets was on Cotton Street, and you want to talk about some danger. Try blocking Cotton Street for 2 hours. Yeah, you didn't have to go on the street on Cotton Street. You just stayed on the sidewalk there. But it was amazing to see it yesterday. Looking forward to doing it again next year. Sunday, December 5th, we are going to have a fellowship meal here. It's it is a potluck. So Julie has the sign-up sheet in back. It's for December 5th, after the service is over, around-ish, when Pastor wraps up. We'll head back and have a fellowship meal together, everyone together. I don't know that we had necessarily planned on it, but it's in my nature. So while we're having that meal, there's probably going to be a little bit of a nutrition seminar going on, a little bit of a conversation about I'm not going to ruin it. We're going to eat whatever is brought, but we'll have a little bit of a conversation, a little education on how to eat, on the biblical principles behind our nutrition, on how things were intended and which way we've gone and how to best stay the course. So that's on December 5th. Julie has the sign-up sheet. So on your way out today, if you could just please sign up, not only your name, but also whatever meal it is that you can prepare and that you can bring and bring along with you. That would be fantastic. That's going to be the first Sunday of every month. So December 5th is our first one. And we're going to have that going on every single month. Is there something on the third Sunday of the month then as well? So that'll be before. So there'll be a fellowship breakfast then the 19th at Yeah, so that'll be before the 9:30 or the 9 a.m. service. So that'll be in the morning for the breakfast. And we'll have more on that as we get closer to it. Because we're a little bit short with staffing today. Thankfully, we're not short with attendance, but short with staffing. There will not be a kids' church. So kids can hang out in here. Hopefully, I don't put them to sleep. I think it won't be too painful. Unlike Pastor who can preach for hours and hours and hours. I do not have that capacity. I do not have that education. I am not. Yeah, I'm a little bit more to the point. Um, Scrolling through, we do have, as you guys know, we don't pass the baskets. We do have baskets up front. We do have the QR codes that are scrolling through. You know your obligations. You know what you can do, what you're prepared to do. So we're not going to browbeat anybody for donations and for tithing. Obligations. Again, it's on the screens or baskets up front, box on the side, and a box in the back. So I'm happy to be here today. I'm glad to be able to fill in. Our pastors are out. They've got a family obligation today, but they're listening in. Although maybe if I say anything just kind of dumb or off the cuff, David, feel free to drop us off the live feed. Pastor won't mind, I'm sure, but make sure we keep them in our prayers as they travel today, as they're out with their family. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. So as we head into this week of Thanksgiving, my tendency, my inclination is to kind of define that. Sorry, there are no notes today, Doreen. So I'll do my best to speak clearly and help you follow along. I don't have any notes. I also, as a speaker and as a writer, I have this tendency to kind of get into a flow and kind of go. And if I stop and try and go back a sentence, I don't remember where I was. So please don't ask me to repeat that because I won't remember what I just said. But as we head into this week of Thanksgiving, I couldn't help but reflect on the actual term, the meaning, not so much the history of Thanksgiving, but really what it means to give thanks, for the blessings that are in our lives and give thanks for all that we have. And that kind of led me to some prayer. And I've seen something this week on, I don't know, it might have been Instagram or something that popped up about asking God for what you need and asking God. And I struggle with that prayer. I struggle with that. I struggle with asking. I feel like there are blessings in our lives. There are blessings all around us. Every single day, at every single moment, you can find a blessing somewhere. And I feel like asking for more is, frankly, gluttony. As we head into this week of Thanksgiving, that's one of the things I think we all can agree on. Doesn't matter race, creed, color, religion, but we all want to gather around that table and have a meal with everyone. We want to have a meal with family, have a meal with friends. And so often we end up eating too much. Thanksgiving stuffing doesn't just refer to the side dish. It refers to what we're doing to ourselves sometimes. We tend to get so wrapped up in that meal in the moment, we overindulge, which is the definition of gluttony. And most of the time, we think of gluttony both as the sin, but gluttony as in relation to food. When reality is, gluttony in terms of the sinful nature is overindulging in anything, over asking for anything. And I'm going to take the flip side of that. Not only is it overindulging, but you're overindulging because you're underappreciating. We're underappreciating the blessings sometimes that we were given. We don't appreciate what we have been handed. And as a result, sometimes we will ask for more and more and more until we've overindulged. We've gone a step too far. And that's really where the sin comes in. That's the idolatry of it, that we allow that needing more and wanting more to master us. We allow it to take over our lives and to forget that this is a time of thanksgiving. And as we head in through this week and in through this season, I would like to impart on all of you to remind yourselves and remind those around you that these are the times of thanksgiving and not necessarily asking God for what we need. God will provide. God has provided for us. He continues to provide. And this is the time of season to thank him for it. And to, as we are thankful and as we are grateful, it makes it easier then to avoid that sin, to avoid being mastered by or focusing on and overindulging in anything. I think the more we are reminded of our blessings, the easier it becomes to actually count our blessings and to remember our blessings. A dream without a deadline is just a wish, but a dream with a deadline is a goal. And if you have anything in your life that you want to accomplish, that you want to do, whether it is giving thanks, counting your blessings, it's improving in your life, it's a physical goal, an emotional goal, a spiritual goal, you need to put a deadline to it. We need to make those what we refer to, it's in the fitness industry, but also in business, as the 3 M's. It's got to be meaningful, it's got to be measurable, and it's got to be something you can maintain. Every goal in your life, everything that you do, everything that you set that you want to accomplish, it's got to be meaningful to you. If it's not meaningful to you, you're not going to do the work to get to where you need to be. There's things that are meaningful to me, and there's things that aren't. Quite frankly, yard work isn't overly meaningful to me. If you give me a goal of maintaining my shrubbery and having the weeds pulled, I'm gonna fail at that because it's not meaningful to me. I don't like being out in the yard. I get bitten by mosquitoes. It's not meaningful to me. Your goals need to be meaningful to you. And as you set them, first and foremost, it's got to be something that means something to you. The second part of that is it's got to be measurable. It has to be something that you can track, that you can follow. In fitness, we generally weights or times, right? How fast can we run? How fast can we run that mile or that 5 mile? Or how much weight can we lift? And we document that, we measure it, and then we try and build towards the next step in the goal. It's got to be something that's measurable. Same thing goes in your life, that as you're trying to succeed at something in your life, if you want to be closer to God, the best way to be closer to God, find a way to measure how close you are to God. How often are you spending prayer? How often are you spending time in the Bible? How often are you spending time in fellowship with others in the church? How often are you spending time in the church? That's measurable. That's something that we can count. It's something that we can count and we need to track. Record keeping is important. We don't know where we're going unless we know where we've been in terms of goal setting. It's got to be something that we can track. And whether you're tracking it in an app or in a journal or somewhere, you need to track your process and your progress. And then it's got to be maintainable. It's got to be something you can do throughout your life. As you guys know, I've got a gym and I spend a lot of time in the gym. I spend a lot of time focusing on what is maintainable, what is lifetime. So the gym that I own is a CrossFit gym. And the goal of CrossFit is to get people good at life. Unlike some big box gyms where kind of the goal is to collect your money first and foremost. But their second goal sometimes is just to look good in the mirror. I want to, they got mirrors all around. If you go into any big box gym and they got mirrors all around the place, you want to look good. You want to look slim. You want to see your muscles bulging. CrossFit, we don't have any mirrors in the gym. There's not a mirror to be found other than in the ladies' room. There's no other mirrors in the place because it doesn't matter what we look like. We're trying to get you good at life, get you to be functionally fit, to be able to stand up off of a chair, to lay down on a bed, to walk up and down the stairs. And that is something that has to be maintainable. It's something that we're trying to get you to be able to maintain your life for the long term. Goals are the same thing. Whether your goals is this is why diets don't work. Why I hate diets. I hate the term diet. I hate the thought diet. They are they're okay. It's something that's meaningful to you, losing weight. It's something that's measurable to you. You can count your weight. You can count how many calories you eat. You can count how many meals you have. Um, but diets aren't maintainable. They don't. You reduce calories to the point that you're always hungry. What are you going to do? Eventually, you're going to give up and start eating again. You have foods that they say are healthy and they've got no flavor. It tastes like eating dried cardboard. You're not going to keep doing that. That's not how we can maintain. So when it comes to your prayer life and it comes to our lives in general, our goals have to be maintainable. It's got to be something that we can continue on for life. If your goal is to get healthier, then we're going to talk a little bit, as we will on December 5th, a little bit about nutrition, about how much to eat and what to eat and the proportions, how to sustain your life. Because really, food is fuel. It's your fuel to get you through your day. It's kind of like you put gas in the car, or they got to put gas in the bus or put electricity to the train. That's the fuel. Well, that's what food is to you. It's your fuel, and it's got to be something that is maintainable. The same goes for our prayer life as well as our family lives. Our goals have to be something we can maintain with ourselves and with those around us. If you set a goal of, pray without ceasing, and we should, in case anyone's never noticed, you don't ever turn your mind off, right? That voice in your head never goes away. It never stops. Pray without ceasing is up here. It's honoring God. It's believing in God. It is thanking God for the gifts we've been giving. But if you give yourself a prayer goal of spending 10 hours a day at the altar on your knees, hands to heaven, that's not really maintainable. That's not actually something you can do. Life gets in the way. You got to go to work for most of us. Some of us have kids to take care of or grandkids. We have responsibilities. So that you set for yourself has to be something that is maintainable. And that goes along with our blessings. If you think about the term, count your blessings, that's measurable. You're literally counting your blessings. It is something that you can keep a journal of. It's something that you can write down. You can put it on the wall. You can keep a record of the blessings in your life. And I would challenge all of you to do that, especially at the times when you're in the storm, when you're in the drama and the trauma. That's the moment to actually stop and count your blessings and recall them. Going into this season, into this Thanksgiving season and into this Christmas season, it's going to be very easy for a lot of people to struggle. It's going to be very easy for a lot of people to have that worry, have that doubt, have that fear, have anxiety about not having enough of something, about not having the right something for their kids, grandkids, that right gift for Christmas. When in reality, the greatest gifts that we give come from God. And it's the gifts of our time. It's the one thing that we can never get more of is our time. And the greatest gift you can give to those around you is the gift of your time. Sure, I mentioned it. I talked about it a little bit at the first service today that for whatever reason, the psalm was coming to me repeatedly over the course of this morning to be still. Be still and know that I am God. And I think a lot of times we make the mistake of thinking that be still means to be physically still, means to be physically planted, to not leave where we are. When the reality is that the statement, the psalmist is telling us to be still in our hearts and in our minds. To be still. When you think about that time of fear, that time of anxiety, that time of panic, your mind is usually racing, right? We think of, when I say fear, what do you think of? You think of your heart rate. You think of your breath. You're hyperventilating. Your mind's racing. You're going all over the place. What the psalmist is telling us with be still is to slow down our minds and our hearts and focus on what's important. Be still and know that he is God, that we are on his timeline and it is for his plan. When you are still and when you have that confidence in God and in his plan, it gives you the ability to take action. Being still doesn't mean to not move. It means to take action. In the Bible, there is one mention of Nahshon. It's he gets one begat because Nahshon is in the genealogy of Jesus. He is an ancestor of Jesus, and in the Bible, that's just mentioned once. He just gets a nice little mention. But we've all heard the story from Exodus 14 of the Israelites coming up and out of Egypt, trying to escape Pharaoh and his army. And they make their way to the Red Sea, and they've got the Red Sea on one side and then the army on the other, and they can't go anywhere. And they're starting to panic. They're starting to panic and they're starting to fear, and their minds are racing, and you can just sense the anxiety in the group. They don't know what they're going to do. They don't know where to go. The story of Nahshon actually picks up in the Hebrew Talmud, and the story is elaborated on that as the Israelites are at the banks of the Red Sea, and they know the army's coming behind them, it's coming to slaughter them. It's coming for them, and they're not coming for good. The Red Sea's in front of them, and they're raging. And what should they do? And God calls out to Moses and says, why are you all panicking? Why are you all worrying? And he proceeds to command Moses to raise his staff and part the Red Seas. And we see that in Exodus 14. The story of Nahshon, though, takes this a step further. Moses raised his staff, and the Red Sea didn't automatically part. He raised his staff and told the Israelites to move forward, to start to move forward into the water and cross the sea. The Red Sea was raging. These families did not want to take a step forward. They're looking at him like he's nuts. What do you mean, step into the Red Sea? I'm going to drown. The story in the Talmud tells us that Nahshon takes that first step, and he wades out into the Red Sea. And he wades out ankle deep at first, and then he takes a few steps, and now he's knee deep, and then he's waist deep, and he keeps going till he gets to the point that the water is up to his chin, and he can barely breathe. And it's in that moment that God parts the Red Sea. He parts the Red Sea and gives the Israelites an escape route. At any point, Nahshon could have stopped and turned around. He could have gotten in, got his ankles wet, and thought, this isn't so smart. He might have gotten down into waist and thought, this is not good. This is, there's nothing happening. I should just go back to dry land. But he didn't. He had faith. He had faith in God and in what Moses told him to do as commanded by God, and he kept going. And it was in that action that God was able to provide his miracle. How often in your lives have you taken that be still to mean to stand still, and you're waiting for God to bring you that miracle when God's waiting for you to take action so he can provide the miracle? You can't have triumph without trial and tribulation. You can't have a win without having experienced some sort of conflict along the way. And if we stop in the middle of that conflict, we stop in the middle of whatever battle it is we happen to be fighting, and we stop moving forward, we stop giving God the opportunity to provide that miracle. We need to take that step. We need to have that faith to take that action, to keep moving forward, step by step, little by little, and give God the opportunity to provide. We have to have that faith, and we have to have that belief. And sometimes it means that we don't have all of the necessary tools. I reserve the right to get smarter later. It means I reserve the right to educate myself, to learn that maybe whatever moment I'm in, whatever struggle I'm in, maybe I don't have the tools I need to get through. And I need to find some other tools. I need to find some education. I need to find somebody who can lead me spiritually. Maybe I need to lean on a worship leader. Maybe I need to lean on a pastor. Maybe I need to seek advice from the Bible. I need to dig back in. I reserve the right to get smarter later. What you know today isn't what you're done with. We never stop learning, and we never should stop learning. Throughout our lives, we should never, ever stop learning. Never stop picking up something new, because those new tools might be what you need to take that next step so that God can provide that miracle in your life. And He has always provided for us. He has always provided for us. Whether or not we deserved it, whether or not at times we even thought we needed it. We are going to make mistakes along the way. As we take our steps, as we have that faith, we're going to take some action, and there's sometimes those actions may not be right. That first action, that first step Nishan took into the water wasn't the right action necessarily. He didn't need to just wade into the water. He didn't need to just go in waist deep. He had to fully commit. He had to get all the way in up to his chin before that miracle could happen. And sometimes in our lives, we are going to take action, and that miracle may not happen. There may not be an action. There may be a silence where there might be thunder. So we take another action, and then another and another. There's times that we're going to make mistakes, and it's why we're given the grace to repent. We're given the opportunity to ask for forgiveness at times when we've maybe taken that step and, I went the wrong way. I thought you wanted me to go right and you really wanted me to go left. I'm sorry, God. I'm going to correct my path. But it's still taking action. It's not getting stopped anyway along the way. And there's a thankfulness we need to have in that. The fact that we can repent, the fact that we have been given that grace is a reason to give thanks. It's a reason to give thanks through the season. It's a reason to give thanks through our lives that we get the opportunity to try again. We get the opportunity to take another step. We get the opportunity to make mistakes, and we get the opportunity to work towards that goal. This is something that's not afforded to everyone. It's something that there's many who aren't here with us anymore, and they've gone on to somewhere greater, we would hope and pray. But they don't get to take those steps here on this heavenly realm. We still do. Whatever work it is that we have to do to reach those goals, we get that opportunity to keep doing it every day. Every morning we get up. Every day we get to press through. We get to make mistakes, and we get to learn from our mistakes. I reserve the right to get smarter later. I'm going to make some mistakes along the way, and that's okay. There is no such thing as failure as long as we learn from it. As long as we learn from it and we change how we're doing things and what we're thinking, and we move on and move forward, there is no such thing as failure. You may at some point have tried something and it didn't work out for you. Learn from it and move on, and you've never failed. You'll be a success in everything you do with everyone you're around. People who you come in contact with you will have that success rubbed off. Success begets success. The more you push forward, the more you live as that example of, I can make a mistake. I can learn from my mistakes. I can reserve the right to be smarter later. The more you adopt that philosophy, it rubs off on the people around you. Again, we need to act to give God the opportunity to provide the miracles. And we need to have the courage to take those actions. We need to have the courage to understand at times we may not do what's right. At times we may try what we think was best, and it might make us look a little foolish. It might make us look a little bit like we didn't know what we were doing. That's okay. It's okay. It's something that I don't think we teach enough growing up. I know I didn't teach it enough to my kids, that it's okay to make mistakes. It is okay to not win the game. It's okay to not always have straight A's. At some point, you're going to have a stumble. While we absolutely want to attain all those goals, we want to work towards perfection. The fact is, the Bible tells us that none of us is perfect. None of us is perfect, and none of us will ever be perfect. But does that mean we stop moving? Does that mean we stop trying? Does that mean we stop making the effort and giving God the opportunity to provide us with the miracles? No, we don't. Just having one setback, having one moment that was not success does not define you. None of us is defined by our lack of success. We are all defined by what we do and what we say and how we live. And getting knocked down to get back up again defines who we are. It sets an example for those around us. And it provides the thanks to God for the opportunity. You are worshiping God by getting back up, dusting yourself off, and trying again, by moving forward, step by step, little by little. That is the commands we're given. We are commanded to try again. We are commanded to learn from our mistakes, to pick up and to move on, move around, and move through. So as we head into this season, as we know those around us who may have some struggles, who may not have what they need, who may not have what they think they want, we need to remind everyone that the greatest gift we have is the gift of ourselves, our time, and the gifts from God. So I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to be done a little earlier than Pastor normally is. So I'm going to wrap up with you guys today. I pray for all of you as we go. Pray that all of you can remember to give that thanks, can remember the blessings in our lives, that all of you, I pray, Lord, that in everything we do and everything we say and everywhere we go, that we keep you first and foremost in our minds and in our hearts and our lives. I pray, Lord, that we all use ourselves as an example for you. As Pastor has said in the past, to make that prayer of God, use me. God, please work through all of us in this season to be the examples to those around us, to be the ones to help support those that might be in need emotionally, maybe financially, but those that are in need of God. I pray that we are all that example in his life. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Come on.
He has made me glad. I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. He has made me glad. He has made me glad. I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. I will enter his gates with thanksgiving.